Hello, Cyclings. Welcome to the Flipped Classroom videos over the psychology lectures. I'll be doing these occasionally throughout the semester to give you guys an opportunity to watch these videos at home as opposed to sitting through a lecture. So we're going to start today with the roots of psychology or the history. All of this is information from the first module and the first unit. So let's get started. So first we look at the early history of psychology. All right, so psychology is the study of human behavior and mental processes, okay? The original definition only started with the study of mental processes, okay? We only were able to look at people's thoughts, and especially with the use of introspection. And that really started back with ancient philosophers, okay? They began to think about human thoughts and actions and kind of how people behaved and how they thought and how we could determine why that happened. So we first have Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle, and all of those individuals believed in what's called innate knowledge, which is basically that we're born with this ability to have all of the knowledge that we need all built in with us. So when you were born as a kid, you have all the knowledge you need in the world. Now, obviously, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so that was kind of expanded upon as we got further along, but that was kind of the first idea of psychology, or psychology's first roots were with the ancient philosophers. It moved on with John Locke and the technique known as tabula rasa. Okay, so tabula rasa is Latin for blank slate. So Locke believed that people were born with a completely blank slate. Nothing, they had no knowledge that they needed. It was all that you learned from experiences. And so he really believed this idea that we kind of learn and we build upon our knowledge. And so that really helped kind of set the stage for psychology. So if we look at some of the founding fathers of psychology, our first one that we have is Wilhelm Wundt. Okay, he was German, so that's why his W's become V's. And so he was kind of what we consider the father of modern psychology. So in 1879, he created the first psychology lab in which he tested patients in his lab, and that kind of set the stage then for psychology in general. We then have Edward Bradford Titchener, who was a student of Wundt's, who kind of expanded upon his ideas. All right, and so in 1892, he came up with the idea of what's called structuralism. Okay, or so looking at kind of the thoughts that we have and what roles they play. And a lot of this came from self-reflection and introspection. Okay, so introspection was the idea that you looked within yourself. Okay, so when you were trying to understand why you behave certain ways, you were looking within yourself and kind of trying to explain your own behaviors to other people. And some of the issues they had with introspection was obviously you can lie. Okay, so if you're really, really mad and someone says, hey, how's your day going? You say, oh, I feel fine, I'm happy. Okay, so they can kind of lie and play it off. So it wasn't the best form of psychological research, but it's kind of where we started. Then we move on into William James, who was American, who wrote the very first textbook. So that big, huge thing that you'll be carrying around with you all school year, you can thank William James for that. All right, so his textbook was called The Principles of Psychology, and that was all about kind of his ideas on psychology. Was not really supported with a lot of research because he kind of set the stage. He also came up with the idea of functionalism, or looking at the functions of our thoughts, so how our thoughts influence our behaviors. So those are kind of the three big guys that we have in psychology. We also then have, from 1920 on, we have behaviorism kind of join the stage. So we have people such as John B. Watson and B.F. Skinner that join the picture and add behaviorism into the study of psychology. Okay, so Watson is associated with classical conditioning, and Skinner is associated with operant conditioning, and we'll get to that later on in the semester. So again, they were responsible for adding behavior to the definition, so now we really have the definition here, which psychology is the study of observable behavior and mental processes. So that's kind of the roots of psychology. Come back next time and we'll talk about the contemporary psychologist and kind of how psychology has changed.